Podcast episode 22. Let the names finally go away. I'm Sean. This is my bud Tom. Like I said, episode 22. Like, follow, subscribe. Appreciate everybody who's tuning in for the first time and returning. Keep getting more and more viewers each week. We definitely appreciate that. But it's kind of a slow week for the Bears this week. We're going to touch up on a few things. Talk a little bit about the Bulls since, like I said, it's been such a slow week. Maybe talk about, see if that Ed Oliver trade's ever going to come to fruition. Things like that. Would you want to get us started off, Tom?
Yeah, so I mean, like you said, it's been pretty slow. There's been a couple of things. The GM meetings were in Arizona this week. There was a couple of sound bites. Ryan Poles said some interesting things, in particular about the teams that he was talking to for the number one overall pick. There was about 4 teams, he said, that really had good offers, but he didn't want to pit them against each other. He said he's been part of that kind of negotiation before. He didn't like it. He doesn't want to do business like that. So when he said that, it threw me off a little bit because as a GM, you would think that you would want a bidding war. Obviously, Carolina gave him what he wanted. There was a list of 4 players. We talked about it before. It was DJ Moore, Brian Burns, J.C. Horn, and their tackle, I forget his
Derek
name.
Brown.
Yeah, Derek Brown. That was, who he wanted from Carolina. They gave him DJ Moore. He was happy with it, so he pulled the trigger. He was also talking about the stadium. They are not 100% gonna, it's not like, hey, tomorrow we're gonna start building a stadium. There's a lot of things that, they go into planning for it. So it's not 100% done yet. Kevin Warren, his first official day as team president is April 17th.
I didn't know that.
Yes, it's the start of the new league year. Ted's last day is April 14th. Apparently, Ted's going to be staying with the organization as a consulting role. My hope is that he consults his happy ass to Arlington Heights and consults on the stadium and nothing to do with football operations, though I think Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles would tell him to go fuck himself if he had any kind of input on the football side. Eberflus said during GM meetings that Tremaine Edmonds is going to be his mic. We kind of, touched up on that. We kind of figured that was going to happen. He's got the size and everything. So it was more just informational week in terms of the Bears. We can kind of dig into some things if you'd like. We could start with the Ryan Poles comments about his, trading, as well as him saying that he's pretty much going to hold off on big splashes and free agency until after the draft. So we'll get started with that.
All right. Well, one thing I do want to touch what you said is his initial comments with the trade. I guess I'd always been said this before, that I can appreciate him not wanting to do business like that. But if you didn't want to do that, you could have just waited. And you wouldn't be pitting them against himself. Time would. And after they saw, like I said, I would have waited till after the pro days, because then everybody really would have fallen in love with whoever they wanted or hated whoever they wanted. I do still like the deal. I'm very happy with the deal. I think we got everything we needed to get. I'm sure there's always, no matter what deal we were going to accept, more would have been out there to get. But I like you, I didn't like hearing that. Like I said, like we're not, this is for everything. Like I don't care. We're not friends with these guys. Like, this is for all the chips.
It's a cutthroat.
Yes, it's for all the chips. Man. Like, we're trying to cripple them. Like, I'm sorry. Like, whoever you're, like, I am trying to pit everybody against each other. And if you don't want to be the guy delivering it, saying like, oh, well, Carolina offered me this. Oh, well, Oakland offered me this. Like I said, just wait till the pro day. And like, don't answer calls. Have your assistant answer calls. And the pressure will build to them. And eventually they'll just keep throwing Hail Mary offers out there. So to say that, I didn't like to hear that. I still like our deal. I'm sure there was a better one that could have been made, but I'm still very happy with the deal we got now, and I'm optimistic. It was still an A deal for Poles, but when he's saying stuff like this, it's like we could have had an A++ deal. And but to go into the free agents, I think you already talked about that a lot. We did in general. We knew he wasn't after the first day. I personally thought he was going to make a splash with one of the offensive linemen. I thought he was going to give McGlinchey the bag, but I think Poles also made a comment. He said like McGlinchey didn't really even field other offers. Like he
No,
just
it was Denver or nothing pretty much.
yeah.
He did say though also in the GM meetings that he plans on addressing the offensive line, specifically the tackle position in the draft, which kind of just gives validation of what we were saying
Yes.
about him finding offensive lineman talent in the draft. There's a lot of things. I mean, I gave you my perfect world scenario, my dream scenario, so to speak, on my mock draft that I sent you earlier today, where it's a possibility. I know Tennessee's kicking the tires on a complete overhaul and a complete rebuild, which leaves Simmons available. You touched base about Chase Young with
Yeah.
Washington. There's a very good. It's a long shot, but if you trade down twice from the 9 spot, it's possible, depending on what you give up, that you could probably get both.
Yeah. Yeah, also Saransky, I think might fall too if that's what we really want, or Broderick Jones, whoever. I just think no reason to get a tackle at 9. I think Paris Johnson, Saransky, or Broderick Jones will be there at like 17, 18, something like that. We could fall back. I really think that for whatever reason, I don't know why he hasn't said anything in particular. I've just been seeing things everywhere that Poles really likes Broderick Jones. I know you've said it a couple times. So I think he'll be there 15, 16, 7. That would be a dream scenario if we could somehow get Chase Young just to fall back. Again, there hasn't been any rumblings. I know they didn't pick up his 5th-year option. That makes me think like he's on a prove-it deal. To me, that makes me that he's on the block. If they didn't give him his 5th-year option, that means that they probably take a second-round pick for him. Maybe even next year. I think a lot of things will happen after the draft. I think nobody kind of wants to give up any at this point. Don't want to give up any of their draft capital for this draft coming up. They put a lot of work into this draft. Same with I think with the Lamar Jackson thing. I think the Ravens are hamstrung, and so is Lamar. There's no reason the team's gonna be like, why the hell would I give you a first round pick this year? If I want Lamar, I'll just do it after the draft and give you 2 firsts the next 2 years. Who cares? Because you guys aren't going to match if we give them. I mean, they probably will. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'd say fine. We give them 35 mil, 40 mil. Your phone just spun. But yeah, I think there's a little colluding, but I think just like the Deshaun Watson deal, where at first everybody's like, oh, nobody's going to trade for Deshaun Watson. Nobody wanted to. One team will emerge. And I just think right now you've been talking about Detroit. I think that's a good option, but I think they've got 2 first-round picks this year and 2 decent ones. I don't think they want to throw their ball in the ring until they make those 2 picks. I think they're going to make those picks, and then maybe they'll say, "Hey, we'll give you next year's first and the one after that for Lamar." I think the Jets might do that, maybe, or at least start threatening that if Aaron Rodgers doesn't figure something out. That's been a very weird saga. They said they're hung up on the compensation for what happens if he retires.
Well, now too. Speaking of the whole Aaron Rodgers thing in the New York Jets, so Green Bay was asking for the New York Jets number 13 overall pick this year. That's what they were asking for.
Just
on
that?
top of whatever else.
On top
of whatever else. That was like the starter. They just backed off of that. Now
they're going to get
Green
to 2
Bay.
right? I'm guessing.
Well, Green Bay has got to be. They got to be delusional. They're not getting a first round pick for Aaron Rodgers. The only way they can, and I read this, I forgot who it was from. It was on Twitter. So it would be 2 second-round picks with the second-round pick next year being conditional, turning into a first-round pick based on whether or not New York hosts a home playoff game or makes the AFC title game or something like that. But New York also wants Green Bay to send back a conditional pick in case Aaron Rodgers retires next year, after next season. So it's a big mess. It's a huge mess.
Yeah.
I just want Aaron Rodgers gone.
Me too. And they made it seem like this was going to go very smoothly, but it has not. It's very odd. I don't know really what the hang up is. I disagree with you that Aaron Rodgers isn't worth the first, maybe not pick 13. But just historically, that's what they're worth. Like Sam Bradford went for first.
Yeah, but Sam Bradford wasn't 39 years old.
Well, but he also sucked.
I get that. I understand that. But You're talking about a 39-year-old who just went on the record a few weeks ago saying that he was 90% retired before he went into his darkness retreat. Like, there's no way they get a first-round pick for Aaron Rodgers. If this was 2 years ago, you'd probably get more than you got, than Russell Wilson got in that Denver trade. But this isn't 2 years ago. This is here and now. And right now, he is not worth a first-round draft pick.
I don't think he's worth 13. Maybe like, I don't know, the later in the first, I might do it. I think they have 2 seconds. I think that's what he's going to go for, the 2 seconds they have this year, if I had to bet. But I don't I guess it's weird. What conditional pick are they going to send back to retire as a third? Like, I don't know how this is all hung up, but it's a lot of drama. I think either way, Aaron Rodgers is gone. I think if they don't get this deal done, he retires. I don't think he wants to be Favre to Jordan Love, like, you know what I mean? Or like be his version of Favre, you know what I mean? How it was for him, where like he had 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out, and like made Aaron Rodgers' first 3 years hell. I think he hated Favre for that, and then it's like that old cliche saying is like you turn into like the thing you hate most. Like he has turned into Brett Favre, and it's just really tedious. I hope they figure this out because it's just weird. I think a lot of stuff's going to happen after the draft. I think everybody's cooled off, everybody's focusing on their draft board, and they just really don't got time for trades. The D-Hop thing is like gone silent. Just everything. We hadn't talked about this. I didn't realize how much money he made. Like,
yeah, there's 3 teams on the D-Hop shortlist right now, and that's New England, Atlanta, and I forget the third team. Kansas City, I think it's Kansas City.
Yeah, I heard about Kansas City.
Yeah, so that's a short list right now. I'm pretty sure Arizona would allow him to pick wherever he wants to go anyway, as long as the compensation was right from either of those teams. But I think he deserves it. It's just, this whole nonsense in the offseason too. Like we're sitting here talking about the possibility of Aaron Rodgers leaving Green Bay. Finally, we gotten rid of back-to-back Hall of Fame quarterbacks. It's a weird time in the NFC North right now because preseason favorites, we have Detroit. Detroit is the preseason favorite to win the NFC North. That was my pick to win the NFC North. And it's not just because, I'm not saying, you're a Bears fan, but you're also a hater kind of thing. That's not that. I'm just realistically looking at the team, and I think the players like playing for Dan Campbell, and they've improved dramatically. We talked about, at least I have on previous podcasts, about the way Detroit can better themselves, and one of their weaknesses was defense. They went ahead and they shored up their secondary with a few good picks. C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They got a corner. I forgot who the hell it was. But then they went ahead and added some playmakers on offense, a very familiar face in David Montgomery. He'd be a good, he's going to be a good 1-2 combination with DeAndre Swift. They, of course, have Amon-Ra St. Brown. We don't know what we have in Jamison Williams yet up there in Detroit. Yeah. And they also have the number 6 and the number 18 pick in the draft or whatever it is.
Yes,
they can go get a wide receiver. They can go get Quentin Johnston at number 18. They can go get Jordan Addison at number 18. I don't think, JSN's going to fall to 18, but they could still get one of the best 3 wide receivers in the draft at number 18.
Yeah.
And at number 6, they're going to get an impact defensive player, whether it be a corner and Devin Witherspoon or Christian Gonzalez, or they get one of the edges to, put on the other side of Aiden Hutchinson that slides, whether it be, Tyree Wilson or, whatever the case. They're going to have an impact starter. So they're going to just be, getting better off of that. And then Minnesota, all the cuts and everything else like that, I think they take a step down. We were talking about the betting odds earlier today. So Vegas has the Bears at over-under 7.5 wins, Sean. Over-under.
Have they released the schedule yet?
Yes.
I didn't look at it. I'm going to say over. I think we split with the Packers, we split with the Lions, we split with the Vikings. That's 3 right there. I don't think either one of those sweep us. I think we've made enough improvements where we're not getting swept by any of those guys. I don't know. We'll see what the continuity's like, but I like our chances of winning more than 7 games. We were in 8 or 9 one-score game that we lost on the one-score games that we lost on literally the final drive of the game. Justin Fields threw a pick, or turnover on downs. So I think the Bears are trending up. I liked a lot of the moves. I'm optimistic to see what happens. This NFL, like I said, it was an interesting time we started our podcast. The NFL has turned into something that we've never known before. People get traded all the time. You know what I mean? Stories break really quickly and players are traded within a week. So who knows what happens? There's going to be a lot of cap casualties that we have not seen yet that won't happen until after the draft, after training camp, after they, you know what I mean? They practice squad players, everybody signed. And then, like you said last week, Ryan Poles, we're expecting him. That's when he's really going to make his move. And I'm hoping there's some decent cap casualties. I was honestly hoping Calais Campbell didn't sign so fast. I was hoping maybe he was somebody we could end up with. But the Ravens cut him, and he got signed by the Falcons in like 2 days, which was odd.
But you got to see, and that's the thing, too, is that a lot of the free agency moves, you, Adam, a lot of Bears fans I've noticed, too, you guys are expecting or at least hoping that the Bears are going to sign a 36-year-old Calais Campbell. It's just not going to happen. You take a look at what Ryan Poles has done so far, his history just in this offseason in terms of free agency, he's not signing anybody over 30 years old. I don't care who they are.
Well, I think at some point he might, just because we have to spend money at a certain point. There will be holes to fill, and at some point he's going to have to come to the realization, all right, like you said, this isn't a one-year plan. All right, I couldn't fill the hole with the young guy that I liked. Let's move on. We'll handle this next offseason, and I'll get a veteran in here to fill a hole until we can see what to do.
Oh, next year, absolutely. But this year, I don't think it's happening. I don't think you're seeing a 31, 32-year-old signing. I think
Bears don't think so.
That's going to be the max.
What about Ed Oliver? You think we can make this? I've been reading a lot on this. Ed Oliver is on the block. I know it was just a one-day thing, and it kind of cooled off, and there hasn't been anything. But as I did more digging, he was kind of like the Chase Young thing, where that hasn't. They just came out and said he's not getting the fifth-year option, and he's kind of in there, but they're saying like we're not paying you, basically. And he knows that, and his agent knows that. So maybe we can get. This is where I hope, you know what I mean, Poles is being buddy, but now we need to get, like I said, get one of these guys 3rd-round pick. You know what I mean? Maybe Jalen Ramsey went for a 3rd. Maybe like Ed Oliver needs to be signed. I think that's really, I don't know, if I was Poles, I'd be focused.
That's the thing too, is that Jalen Ramsey's an all-pro and he went for a 3rd, and he's only 28 years old.
I mean, he makes a lot of money, and I don't know. That was an odd, very odd trade. And that, like I said, it's so weird. We never like. Ramsey tweeted some shit out, and then, you know what I mean, 2 days later he's on the Dolphins for a 3rd-round pick and some 3rd-string tight end. Like, so we don't know what the hell is going to happen. Like I said, my antennas are up. I just have a sneaky suspicion that Chase Young is going to be made available very soon. That it'll be leaked out sooner, rather like after the draft, that he's available, going into the season that he's available. It maybe even he gets traded, you know what I mean, in the middle of the season. But he's a pass rusher who hasn't done anything with high upside that they don't want to move on with. And they're stacked at that position. They got Sweat. They re-signed him. He had good years. They gave him a new deal. Payne just re-signed. They got another big fuck in the middle too. And I can't think of his name. I think it was Jonathan Allen.
They can't spend a bunch of money on that defensive line because
you're not going to have 2 guys who make, you know what I mean? And Chase Young's probably, even with the low thing, getting 15 to 18, something like that.
But this is what I was thinking too. So I put this in my notes. The Bears, not including the draft cap that's going to take a hit, they need to spend $45 million in cash to hit that cap floor, and that's over a rolling 3-year period. So $45 million in cash. What I mean by that, cash is separate and different than cap. So the Bears only have $40 million in cap space. They need to spend $45 million in cash, which means extensions are coming. Darnell Mooney, Chase Claypool, Jalen Johnson, Cole Kmet, they're all extension eligible. But also, say they make a trade for an Ed Oliver, they make a trade for a Jeffrey Simmons, they make a trade for a Chase Young. If they extend any of those guys and they give them bonuses.
Oh, the bonus is the cash one? Okay.
The bonuses are cash. So that's how they'll spend that $45 million with these extensions. So I don't think there's going to be any big splashes in free agency. I think realistically, you see maybe Yannick signs after the draft or whatever, and then you see a couple of trades being made or extensions being doled out for guys like Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet, Jalen Johnson. they make a trade, they extend Chase Young or they extend Ed Oliver, they extend Jeffrey Simmons, and that cash hits the cap, the cash hits the cash floor that the Bears need to spend for those extensions. They'll make it like a signing bonus, and that's where that 45 million in cash will come from. It's gonna be exciting, man. Like there's a lot. We've never seen a GM work so methodically, and really he's sticking to his core. Everything he's said so far, he has meant and he has done. Now,
that is refreshing. Like I said, we're going to be critical. We're Monday morning quarterbacks, but that is true, and that's something we can respect at least. Like he said, this is what I wanted, and he went and fucking got it. And of course, we all wanted that, but it's just like the timing. Of course, we're always going to play hindsight. Like I said, he's going to. They're clearly could have get. You always could have gotten more. So, yes. But I agree with you. Yes, he's been very methodical. I like that. And like you said, he's even if you don't agree, you can always respect somebody saying like, "This is what I'm going to do," and they go and do it. Like
now, one of the things I didn't understand, and this is from the going back to the GM meetings in Arizona. George McCaskey was asked about Hard Knocks, and he flat out said he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want the Bears to be chosen for Hard Knocks. Why? Why wouldn't you want that? If you're a team owner, like. That's so. Of course, it's the Bears. So you're a national, you're a worldwide brand. Don't get me wrong, but you are on Hard Knocks. Did so much good for Detroit last year,
but they needed it.
I understand, but at the same time, I think it would be refreshing to give fans a little bit of a sneak peek inside of the world of their favorite team. And with them being, I mean, it's a huge ratings boost for HBO if they pick Chicago.
I was going to say for everybody, I think everybody involved, it would be huge for the NFL, for HBO. But I just think I'm just looking at stuff. There's probably just a lot of pressure on Justin. A lot of sound bites, people. I don't know. I would do it if I was me because I agree. I just think no such thing as bad publicity. Even if it doesn't go well, it'll still be remembered. And like I said, it would be cool for them to do, like I said, the Chicago Bears. It's like one of the big franchises, not only in the NFL, but really just all of sports. And so it'd be cool, like if the Packers or the Bears did it, like or the Cowboys did it. Like, well, haven't the Cowboys done it? Now that I think about it.
Yeah, the Cowboys did it a few years ago.
Yeah. But like, yeah, I agree with you. I think it'd be really cool. I mean, I'd be fucking locked in. But we'll see. We will see. I don't know why. I don't know why he's going to answer the questions. Like I said, I didn't realize Warren I thought like he was working. Like he's been the president this whole time. Like
no.
Fucking Ted Phillips is still in charge.
He's been getting his feet wet and kind of just getting acclimated with everybody in the building. And
I should have thought that. I mean, I don't know why. I just.
It wasn't really talked about all that much in the media either. I think it was just one of those.
You think when they got hired him, they'd be like, "Oh, but he's not taking effect until April 17th or whatever."
Yeah,
but like you said again, to go with your initial point, it is refreshing to have the team being run like a quality organization. In our years growing up, the offseason always felt so like discombobulated. We never knew who they were going to pick. You never knew who the fuck the Bears were going to pick. They had no plan. They just went in there and fucking picked somebody. And every time we were like, what the fuck?
They were throwing darts at the fucking board, man.
It's like I said, the Mitch Trubisky thing was a good example. It's like, we never knew that. Like the Bears fans were like, what? Like, and so many other picks. Kevin White, I remember being like, what the hell do we? I forgot who else was in that draft, but I didn't want them to pick Kevin White, Shea McClellan, fucking Kyle Long. Well, I mean, and it's like
Kyle Long wasn't a bad pick.
I don't think it was I think he turned out okay. I just think he would have been there in the second round when we picked. Like I'm like 100% positive he would have been there in the second round we picked. I think it was just a huge reach. It just turned. There was just a lot of, like I said, that just worked out for them, but they never had any strategy. They were never picking best available. They're always trying to get too cute. Pick, like I said, the Shea McClellan pick. Oh, we got a little tweener pass rusher, the new Clay Matthews, because that white guy had a good year out at edge rusher, and that never panned out. Like I said, they thought he was going to be Urlacher, and he was just a journeyman. Again, I actually liked him. He was a nice kid, but now it's like we got a plan. We just got DJ Moore in the offseason, and I'm really confident that he's going to make good draft picks. There are some I question, from last year. But all in all, it was more like I wanted him to take this player in this position. But Kyler Gordon is, well, I've said many times, for second round corner, very good pick. It looks like he'll have a nice 10-year career. He can ball. Brisker, same thing. He looks like multiple Pro Bowls in his future. He's a playmaker, great pick. Braxton Jones, like A++ pick. What was he, 5th round tackle? He was one of the top 10, 15 tackles in the league. Again, long future. And like I said, he's still a raw talent rookie. He's only going to get better. And so I am excited to see what he does with this. I really hope we just don't pick a tackle in top 10. If we trade back twice or even once or trade back and then get one, I'll be fine with it. But I'm hoping he trusts his eye and he says, you know what, I'm going to pick a skill player or a pass rusher in the first round, and I'll get offensive lineman in the second, third, fourth if I have to. Because we got 2/3, 2 seconds, 2 fourths.
Yeah, and like 2 sevenths or some shit.
So
I mean, we have a lot.
Yeah,
there's a lot of draft capital. We were talking about, him being able to move up and down. Doesn't really matter. He can do whatever he wants.
Yes.
He has the ammunition and the firepower to do whatever he pleases. So, and that's another refreshing thing too, is that we actually have draft picks that we haven't traded away for bad players and haven't moved up in drafts to completely fuck ourselves and everything else like that. So
yes.
It's kind of nice.
Yeah. When was the last time we traded back?
Ooh.
Like I can't remember. I'm not in the first round. I'm sure it happened later in round almost every year, but I'm talking about in the first round. I don't think that's. Let's see. Let me see.
Yeah, I don't know. Was it the year they took Chris Williams at tackle at number 14? I
don't know. It's gonna eat me up inside. But I don't want to harp too much on it. But yes, it is, like you said, extremely refreshing to have firepower. Like, we have the most juice in the draft right now, I feel like. Maybe the Lions, they got 2 first-round picks.
San Francisco's got like fucking 13.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They got a 2 or wait. What do they have, late picks? Because didn't they just trade a 2, 3, 4, 5 for McCaffrey?
Yeah, they still got a ton because of all the damn the compensatory picks that they got for their assistant coaches and their their GM, their assistant GM and all that shit. Yeah, they've got a plethora of picks. It's ridiculous. They've got a ton. I think
the Bears traded back in 2006 from pick 26 for a second and a third from the Bills.
In 2006?
Yes, that was the last time we traded in the back in the first round.
That was the year after we went to that was
the year before we went to the Super Bowl.
Before we went to the Super Bowl.
The year we did go to the Super Bowl. Right, yeah, because we went 07.
They wouldn't have had the 26th pick. They would have had the 30. I thought the
it was the year before. It must have been the year before, like the year we went to the Super Bowl, but the draft before. The draft right before we went to the Super Bowl. Yeah, Daniel Manning. Yeah, I think he was a rookie for us that year.
So
Dusty Dvorak. I remember him.
Was Devin Hester in that draft class?
Yeah, I believe so.
Devin Hester was a rookie when we went to the Super Bowl. So that's crazy. I don't know. It's exciting stuff, man. I'm like pumped. And then we were talking a little bit. You want to talk a little Bulls?
Oh yeah, we can get into the Bulls a little bit. There's a little bit to talk about. Zach LaVine has clearly been tuning in and seeing all the shit we've been talking about him, and he's really taking his game to the next level. I'm really glad we could help him take that step.
You're welcome.
He has been playing well. The Bulls have been playing well. I actually just had the game on before we started. Honestly, I think it is Zach LaVine, but I really think it's a lot of Pat Bev. I think he just injected some energy into this guys. I think, like we talked about with Lonzo, obviously he's nowhere near as good as Lonzo, but Lonzo played with energy, and that shit is infectious. Like,
I also think it has a lot to do with the fact that, maybe Patrick Beverly pulled Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan and everybody aside all at one time, was like, listen, you need to stop being a little bitch. This is how we're going to play. And his defense has rubbed off on him too.
yeah, I've been watching. I watch the Bulls a
Zach's
lot.
playing better defense.
He's just playing with energy. I don't think he's a good defender, but you don't have to be when he's a supreme athlete. When you're just running around being you, fast and long arms, you're going to get opportunities. And I think that early in the season, he just was not playing with any energy. The only time he exerts energy is when he's got the ball and he's dribbling it. And he needs to focus on that. It's like, you got to be an all-around player. Like, you're the guy. Like, the Bulls don't have a bunch of defensive specialists, like, at least not yet. Like, everybody's got to play together. You guys aren't going to win. Like, it's like, and it's either make it out of the first round of the playoffs, you might as well suck. Like, what is even the point? So this lackluster effort he was giving was, like I said, that made him want to trade him. But he's been playing a lot better. I still would move off of him if I had to, because unfortunately he's shown spurts of it before in the past. But you know what I mean? Players are who they are, especially at this point to me. But I do think Pat Beverly has helped. Like I said, he probably pulled aside. He probably holding guys accountable. And like I said, he plays with energy and passion, and that shit's infectious. You don't want to be – sometimes it's embarrassing when some guy's out there busting his ass and you're giving a half-hearted effort.
Yeah, so I agree completely.
So it makes guys play harder. Just like they're all competitors, and like again. So, but that Zach should have been doing that in the first place. It starts with him, and that's like the Michael Jordan mentality. Where like, you know what I mean? I lead by example as well. I'm going to tell you, but I'm also going to lead by example. And I think Zach needs to be doing more than that. I think he kind of got his feelings hurt when the Bulls, after, you know what I mean, it looked like it was going to be his team. They signed DeMar, and then DeMar is like an MVP of the league damn near, and fucking kind of really put a rein on his parade.
Yeah, the Pat Bev effect is real right now.
Yeah,
it's kind of nice. I mean, they still suck. They're only a game and a half up on Indy for the last spot for the play-in. I mean, they're also like 2 games back or something like that of the 8th seed. So it's really, I mean, it's a possibility that they're not going anywhere in the postseason. This team still, if they were to play the playing game, chances are they'd probably lose it. But it's just refreshing to have at least somewhat competent basketball being played right now. So, I mean, anything can happen when you get to the postseason. But, I mean, this team's probably going to get swept in the first round if they make it. They just don't have enough. Maybe it's a gentleman's sweep. They might get 1 game. But the Billy Donovan extension in the offseason, that was secret, that they didn't even announce until the trade deadline because they wanted to take the headlines off of Zach or some shit, or the fact that AK was just, sitting around with his thumbs up his ass. It's frustrating as a Bulls fan, man. Like, we harp on it all the time. We talk about these owners that just don't want to spend any money, and it's very frustrating, especially because you are the Chicago Bulls. You are a worldwide recognized NBA franchise because of what Michael Jordan did.
So frustrating. Like, OKC fans can't be frustrated. Like, the Bulls show up and show out. It's not a lack of revenue or a lack of merch sales or anything. Like, the Bulls do numbers no matter how good they are. Like, I don't understand why they're not more active in free agency. Like, and it's like, it makes no sense. Or like I said, I'm all for it. Man, basketball, trading picks and young players. Very rarely does it come back and bite you. Very rarely, because like, it's hard for players to pan out. And like I said, I know you like Pat Will. He's progressing nicely. Okay, he's turning into a nice little NBA player, but I don't think he's gonna be a superstar. Maybe make 1 All-Star game at some point in his career, maybe. But I don't think like, superstars don't bud late. So it's like, get rid of these young guys who aren't superstars. Get rid of these picks. When you're a mecca, like the Lakers ain't worried about damn draft picks. They're like, eventually we'll get Damian Lillard or somebody to come here. Like, somebody's going to want to come here when they're bitter and they, you know what I mean, 1 off season. And I think the Bulls could do that too. And they constantly re-sign these shitty players to bad contracts, or trade for players with bad contracts, and they're in shit. The DeMar deal, I'm fine with, I guess. He was okay. I think it's hard to judge all of this because of Lonzo, but hey, that's what the good GMs are. They have a plan, it fucks up, and they quickly shift focus and make it work. That's what makes you a good GM. You're not necessarily a good GM if everybody always stays healthy and you know what I mean, and everything it works out the first time. And like, yeah, maybe you are, maybe you aren't, but we haven't seen you facing the adversity. And the Bulls have not been able to recover from this Lonzo injury. It's really just ruined the Bulls for the last few years. And like you said, Jerry Rice was being cheap. The Bulls, it ain't like they ain't got the money. The Bulls been done sold out every fucking basketball game for the last like in non-COVID years for like 20 years straight. Even when they had the shitty, you know what I mean, teams with Kirk Heinrich and Ben Gordon, they sold out every night, and they still do. And like I said, I think the fans deserve better. I hope Zach LaVine steps it up. And honestly, I just hope they let Vooch walk. Like they keep talking, oh, he's a this, he's a that. Yeah, sure, he's an 18-9 guy, whatever. It's hard to get him back, but he's not a championship player. So who cares? Like who get the money? So you got the money to maybe get somebody later. But the Bulls sign these shitty deals, and then they're not in the position to make any moves when players do become available. When things do become available, they don't have their picks. They don't have it's like they would have their fucking picks. They could have fucked around and got Kevin Durant. If they would have traded all their picks for Vooch, like if they would have had their picks that they had, or whoever they would have, if they would have had Franz Wagner to trade, you know what I mean? They would have had Franz Wagner to trade and Wendell Carter, and they could have got fucking KD. You know what I mean? Maybe it doesn't work out. Maybe he fucks his ankle up, but at least you went and got KD. Like the Bulls are never in a position to make a move because their team is always horribly constructed. It's like the fucking Bears. Like we're just never in a well now we are, like you said, with competency, and now we're being run properly, but the Bulls are never in a position to make a move that would help their team when it does happen. Like I said, Dame was available earlier this year. They just with Lonzo hurt, they didn't traded all their picks. The only way their picks valuable is if they're one of the worst 5 teams in the league. It's like how do you do business like that? Now you're just hoping that like that one draft pick, that lottery pick you had 3 years ago pans out, and that all your free agency picks, these older free agents that you signed that other teams didn't want for whatever reason, pan out. And it's like I said, Vooch is okay. I'm sure he's going to go get his money, but I'm letting him walk for nothing. I don't care. Leave. We'll go get anybody. Like, but they should have got this offseason. Always thought they should have got Mo Bamba. There was a bunch of people they could have went out there and got, and they like sat on their hands and did stupid shit. And just like I said, they're just terribly run. I don't know what Jerry Rice is even thinking. Like, I feel like, and what more so the White Sox, at least they make moves. Like the Bulls never do anything of value. They get like said, they signed Pau Gasol that one time. You know what I mean? He was like an aging veteran.
Yeah, the tail end of his career.
It's basically DeMar DeRozan again. He had an okay little career with the Bulls. He played okay. I liked him. I like Powell too. But it's like it's the same goddamn move that he did. It's like the same as DeMar. It's like, no, you need to be going out for superstars, disgruntled superstars. They need to end up on your team. You're the Bulls. Like there's some pull in that. Like I mean, some of these California kids don't want to come live in Chicago, but that's one of the basketball meccas. It's New York and Chicago, and they could have an easier time getting free agents. I know Giannis said something about it. This beginning of this year, he said something like, "Oh, I'd love to play in Chicago."
Yeah.
He's never leaving Milwaukee. They're going to give that guy whatever the hell. Yeah, they're going to give him whatever he wants. I don't know. Maybe he will just be tired of being in Milwaukee. He already won one there. Maybe he wants to move. Chicago's not that far either. He seems like not the type of guy who would like to move really far. But who knows? But I mean, like I said, the Bulls need to stop making terrible desperation trades for shitty players and just wait and hold the cards until the time comes. Like Jaylen Brown might be a free agent or be on the block. We'll see how that goes. There's a few guys you might be able to go and get, and it's like I said, what are they going to do? Like Lonzo's done. Is like when does he get to retire and you get all your money back so you can actually like field your team? Like because that cap's being held against them, right? Like they can't do anything.
Yeah, that money's still tied up, and that's the thing too is that Lonzo is attempting to become the first player in NBA history to come back from a cartilage transplant. Like, what the fuck is that even? What is that? Like, literally, it sounds so complicated. So he's not good enough, in my opinion, He's had knee issues before. This is just his career is done. I told you this 3 months ago when we
You
had
did,
the
and I was
family
optimistic.
milkman.
But yeah, he's getting another surgery. I mean, it's basically done, and also too because he's pretty rich already. So honestly, I
Well, yeah,
say
he
this all
just
the time.
fucked the Bulls for $90 million.
Yeah, and I mean, and he had deals before that, and um, so it's kind of hard when you're not young and hungry and need it anymore. And his family got money. He's probably set up to like transition into something else, where at least to make a little bit more money. I mean, his brother's still in the NBA. I mean, his baby brother's still in the NBA, and he's probably going to get a $200 million deal here pretty soon. Um, but yeah, it sucks for him. I don't want to harp on it too much because it's a poor kid, man. Like, could you imagine? But yeah, that's really fucking the Bulls over. They can't really make any moves. What is he making 20 a year?
Yeah, I told you it's the point guard curse for the Bears or for the Bulls. It started with Jay Williams when he got into that motorcycle accident. Then it was Derrick Rose with the fucking knee issues, and now it's Lonzo Ball with the knee issues. They
Oh.
just it's a point guard. They say Chicago is where wide receivers go to die. The Bulls are where point guards go to die. It's
PCLs go to
just
die.
it's absolutely crazy. And I feel bad for the kid too. I wish there was, if he were to say he retired. So this is why I think he would still get his money anyway. Jay Williams told this story on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Matt. Yeah, Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max or whatever on ESPN 1000 in the morning. So when Jay Williams got into that motorcycle accident, he knew he was done playing. He retired. There was an issue with the contract where that money went back to the Bulls. Jerry Reinsdorf went to Jay Williams' hospital room, sat down and had a conversation with him while he was in recovery, and said, "Listen, you don't have to worry. I will pay you every penny of your contract." And Jerry Reinsdorf did it out of his own pocket. It didn't count against the Bulls cap, and he was not obligated to pay Jay Williams the money at all whatsoever.
I wouldn't have because it was a motorcycle accident, right?
Yes,
Which I'm assuming was against his contract.
Yes, and he even stated that it was, he broke his contract. It was in the contract. He was not allowed to do that. He did it anyway. And Jerry Reinsdorf still came and visited him after the accident and after his surgery when he was in recovery and told him he will pay him every penny on his contract.
I wouldn't have done it. But I mean, that's a noble thing to do. I mean, I think now it's different too because I'm pretty sure that's just how the NBA contracts are now. I don't know. Like back when J. Will got hurt, it wasn't like that. But Lonzo, like I said, they signed NBA players' contracts are guaranteed, right? Especially if you get hurt playing and like in a game.
Yeah.
So I guess it's hard to say sucks for him because he did get $90 million for his troubles, but and nothing, you know what I mean? Like you don't need your ACL to be a functioning adult in society just to dunk on people in the NBA. So it's like you be just fine and out in the real world without your ACL. But it'll be interesting to see what the Bulls do. They extended the coach, which seems really dumb at this point because I mean they're moving for probably a full rebuild minus, like I said, probably end up keeping Zach unless they get some heat, but DeMar will probably get moved somewhere in the offseason. Like I said, if they're smart, they let Vooch walk. I mean, if they give him a 3-year, $20 million deal, it's like they're committing to mediocrity.
They are a that's exactly what they are, Sean. They're a middle of the road, mediocre basketball team, and they are stuck in basketball hell. We talked about this before too because of the bad contracts that you brought up earlier, the bad trades. They just cannot get it right. Doesn't matter who's in the front office, whether it was Garpax running it, now AK. They just can't fucking do anything right up there. And I mean, I will give AK kudos for at least attempting it when he did.
Because the Vooch trade wasn't him, right?
What?
The Vooch trade wasn't him, right?
The Vooch trade was the very first trade he made.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I know it was right, man. Yeah, that's looking back is a terrible deal.
Yes, and he should realize now, a couple years later, okay, that didn't work. so let's try something else. And they haven't been proactive in doing that. They're making the White Sox excuses where once we get everybody healthy, this is going to be a
Yes,
different
it's
team.
very frustrating.
And
It's like
bullshit.
DeAndre Ayton was out there to get. There's just people they could. Gobert. I mean, I know he's not the best, but like y'all, they weren't trying hard enough. Donovan Mitchell got fucking traded. What did he get traded for? Like 4 firsts or something? Like they just didn't have anything, and it's just really.
And Cleveland's a good fucking team right now. Like they took the proactive stance and they made the deals that they needed to make, and now they're reaping the rewards. And we're not. And it's fucking Cleveland.
Yes, exactly. Cleveland is just, that's wild to think, like, without LeBron James. It was one thing when they had LeBron because he's a basketball god, but fucking just like they're running their team better than us. Like even when they had LeBron, they didn't run the team. Like it was still ran horribly, and it's like now we're still stuck in this cycle where it's like, do these guys need to be fired? Jerry, you need to retire and just let more people handle this, like, because you're out here.
I think it's his son Michael. I think it's his son Michael. That's the president of basketball operations. I might have to double check on that. I don't think it's really Jerry. I think it's Michael.
Well, he needs to get it under control because the Bulls fandom deserves better than the shit they've been getting the last few years. Like I said, they show up and show out. I think the only way to get any change would be not to show up. But the Bulls are like a tourist attraction. So it's like the Bulls are always going to be sold out. People are always going to go there. There's really nothing you can do about it. But Jerry needs to fucking get in his pockets and, like I said, really make a move for somebody like KD, Dame, these fucking, like I said, there's really good guys, not fucking Vooch. What the hell? Yeah. Like that was just terrible deal. It's like, who's like, oh, we're gonna get Vooch, we're gonna take the next step. Like, no, like even that, fine. Oh, the next step will be us getting bounced in the first round of the playoffs. Like, he's not even a winning player. He's just like a fucking bum ass version of Kevin Love. Like, and yeah, I don't just then they just compound on one another, and it's like now they're just in this terrible situation where they have nothing to do, no moves to make. Praying, just waiting for Lonzo to retire so they have an extra $20 million in cap so they can go out and fucking sign some bum ass fucking free agent in the offseason.
Yeah, that's probably gonna tear his knee. I wouldn't be surprised, and knock on wood, I'll knock on the desk here in the hotel room, but it would not surprise me with how well the Bulls are playing right now with Patrick Beverley. It would not surprise me if he goes down with a knee injury by the end of the year. Like, I'm being serious. Like, watch it happen. Come back to this video 2 weeks from now when Patrick Beverley is nursing a sore knee that turns out to be a career-ending issue.
You're just playing two per point guard on the. That's why the Bulls never could keep a good one.
It's crazy. I have a little factor cap. I'm only gonna. I left my notebook at work, so I don't have.
It's funny you said that. I left mine too, and I had notes, and I was like, "Mother!" I was like, "I cannot." I was like going through my bag, and I'm like, "What the hell?"
So I'm gonna go. I'm only gonna do a couple, and I'm gonna base them off of memory. But before we do that, real quick, I want to spend a quick 5 minutes talking about something we don't normally do, but it's this weekend coming up, and this is something we always watch every year. It's WrestleMania season.
Oh, yeah.
Saturday and Sunday, WrestleMania. I know you really don't keep up on it all that much, but you have friends in Discord that you talk to that are wrestling fans. I'll just ask you a couple of quick questions real quick about WrestleMania. I'm sure you'll know the matches that I'm going to talk about. We'll go with just a couple of big ones. We'll talk about your boy Jake Paul versus Seth Rollins. Who you got in that matchup?
I'm guessing it's going to be Seth winning. I was interested to see it. Like you said, I was seeing some clips. Logan is pretty good. Kind of like a natural. He looks good out there wrestling. He's got the frame for it too. Yeah, he like I said, he really got the frame for it, and he's pretty good. So I like that they're incorporating that because the WWE needs to inject some life back into it. They had a little bad stretch where AEW was coming for their crown, but it looks like everything's getting back to normal.
Yeah, now that Vince is supposedly out of creating or creative, and it's been Triple H running things, the product has gotten a little bit better. I can't possibly. I don't see Logan Paul winning only because Seth Rollins right now is one of the most over faces in the company, and I don't think I can see having the biggest, most over face in the company right now. Maybe besides Cody Rhodes. I can't see them having him lose to Logan Paul, who's a part
Yeah,
timer. I mean, he signed a full time contract. I think he's dedicated to the craft. I think he's really good. It would not surprise me if they steal, the show on night one of WrestleMania. So I would agree with you on Seth Rollins. Two more matches I'm going to bring up. The hottest storyline in professional wrestling right now has to do with the bloodline. You have Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens going up against the Usos for the tag team titles. Who wins that matchup?
I like the Usos. I like that they're kind of bringing the tag team back. I think wrestling really got away from that for a while. I think they forgot how much people really did love tag team and the good storylines and the beefs they can create within that. I think sometimes they're a little more creative than the ones with just the two souls, with the heel and the hero. But I like the Usos a lot.
Um, Sami Zayn was the hottest act in wrestling for the longest time. And I think personally, as much as I do like the Usos as a tag team, I think this is going to be a little bit more of a deeper. I don't think the Bloodline storyline is over, but I realistically expect Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn to come out victorious on this and take the tag titles off because I think it's going to kind of dig into the final matchup, which is Roman Reigns, the tribal chief,
Mm-hmm.
versus Cody Rhodes. Does Cody Rhodes finish the story and dethrone Roman Reigns to become WWE champion?
I think so. I don't know. When I saw the promo, I don't know. I had a feeling Cody Rhodes would win. I really like Cody Rhodes too. I'm not super into wrestling technical wise, but I think he's one of the best guys when I watch. Like he really wows me when he's wrestling. I'm like, holy shit. But I think Cody Rhodes is gonna win.
I think Cody Rhodes wins, just not at WrestleMania.
You don't think so?
No, I think this drags on a little bit. I think that would be the easy way to go, is to have Cody Rhodes win. And honestly, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't be mad either way. But long-term booking, I'm looking at the Usos losing the tag titles, Roman Reigns winning, then Roman kind of just picking on the Usos, being more of a bully than he was. Then going into SummerSlam, there's a rematch between Cody and Roman, and finally the bloodline blows up. They turn on Roman, costing him, the Universal Championship, and Cody wins at SummerSlam. That would be my guess. Like I said, I wouldn't be upset if Cody wins at WrestleMania. I think it's going to be a hot fucking crowd for the main event of night two.
Where is it at?
Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
It's in LA. It's Hollywood.
I think I watched. They did the Hall of Fame ceremony. What, yesterday or the day before?
The Hall of Fame ceremony will be, I think, Friday. I think it's the night before WrestleMania.
Oh well, they did an event where they announced the people or something. I want something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it could have been too because
it was like Edge, right? It's Edge.
No, it's Rey Mysterio.
I thought I saw Edge.
Rey Mysterio is being inducted. Edge is already a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I thought so. I don't know if
Rey Mysterio is being inducted. Stacy Keibler is being inducted. There's a couple other ones too.
Stacy Keibler's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I know. They'll throw anybody in the fucking Hall of Fame, dude.
What did she wrestle for? Like 5 years? Like she wasn't even.
She was also in WCW before she came over to WWE. She was a valet in WCW. I think she's going in more than a wrestler.
Man, she must be older. I think
she's going in as a wrestler and a valet.
Damn, she's in WCW. How old is she? Like 40 something, 50?
Yeah, she's like 40, maybe good. 43, 44.
She looks good for that. I like Stacy Keibler.
All right, so a little factor cap. You ready?
All right, let's close it out.
All right, let's close it out with some factor cap. If I can remember the stuff off the top of my head, I'm going to try my hardest. So if I fumble my words a little bit, please excuse me. So with the comments being made by Kevin Warren as well as George McCaskey about the stadium not necessarily being ready to be built, Kevin Warren did mention that it will take 36 months from start to finish as soon as the shovel hits the ground. But those comments kind of scared me a little bit. So I'll ask you, factor cap. With the mayoral change in Chicago, George McCaskey now has cold feet about moving the Bears from the city of Chicago.
Um, I will say fact. I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing. I think if there is a deal to be made to stay in the city and to meet all the demands that the field that will need, then I'm for it. Or to sell the field to the Bears, I'm for it. I'm assuming they're at least going to the table. But I think he definitely is. I'm sure. I know they didn't like Lori at all, so they're like, "Fuck her, we're out of here." But I do think there is a last ditch effort from both parties to stay in Chicago.
I'm going to say cap because the Chicago Park District, not the city of Chicago, it's a completely separate entity, owns Soldier Field. I don't think it'll ever happen. The only thing they could have done is if the Bears would have bought land in the city, within city limits. I think that would have really helped their cause staying in Chicago, but they did buy it in Arlington Heights. I think it's going to take longer than most people thought to build this stadium, but George and Ted are money men. They've always been money men. They're very good with money. And the way they maximize their value in terms of a franchise is by building a stadium in Arlington Heights. And I think that's going to be the move.
Yeah, that year, like you said, they do want to give Ted some purpose. So, like you said, they'll probably do something like that. I'm just saying, I don't think they're gonna not do it, but I do think there is gonna be a last effort for both by both parties, one last negotiation to maybe, like I said, meet every demand the Bears have. Because I do think it's gonna hurt the city more. It's gonna hurt the Bears,
oh, definitely,
because it's gonna be an attraction. So that motherfucker's gonna be sold out for the next 15 years. The season tickets are gonna go crazy. Like they're gonna be able to. It's gonna be like a blank check. They're gonna be able to charge whatever the hell they want for. Because then what? That takes there's no longer this 100-year waiting list, right? Like that. Field. So it's like now it's a new group of people who can pay their way in, and so plus, and like you said, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Plus, you got to think George too. It's not just football games.
Yeah.
It's Super Bowls. It's NCAA basketball tournaments. It's the possibilities are endless when you own your own stadium and it has a roof over it.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. I'm excited for it either way. I do think it's time for a new stadium though. The city they waited long enough to meet our demand. We've been needing more seats. We could have had a Super Bowl already, and we haven't because they didn't want to give us 20,000 more seats. Yep. They could have figured that out.
So at the GM meetings, ESPN 1000's David Kaplan reported that there was quote unquote heavy smoke coming from the GM meetings about Ryan Poles trading down from the number 9 spot. So I ask Factor Cap, where there's smoke, there's fire, and Ryan Poles will be trading down from number 9.
Fact. I think we and you both have been harping this every episode since we got 9. I do think that I honestly just think no matter, unless somebody crazy falls like Will Anderson, there's no way the Bears pick at 9. I think we'll be picking. I don't want to fall behind the Packers, but I do think we're going to be picking 16 or 17.
Well, Green Bay has the number 15 pick, so if you realistically with 16, 17, I'd still be okay with that because you're going to find I just have a feeling Ryan Poles has something up his sleeve that is, going to have us Bears fans saying okay, I could see what he's up to. I will definitely say fact. I don't think they stay pat at 9. Like you said, we've both been saying I just don't think it's I don't think there's any. I think he sees it as he doesn't see any value there. If his number 1 guy is Broderick Jones isn't the 9th pick in the draft. That's just that. And Ryan Poles is a big value guy. So I really think realistically he trades back to where he feels comfortable picking a guy like Broderick Jones, which may be anywhere from 14 to 16, 17, like you said, and he'll go from there. And if Broderick Jones is gone, he'll take the next guy on his board at
Yeah.
16, 17. But he wants that draft capital to keep building both in this draft and in future drafts, whether it be next year or 2025. Final one for the day. This is the only one I remember because it is baseball. So opening day is like 11 days away as of this podcast right now.
Is
Both
it 11
teams,
days? I thought the Cubs played tomorrow.
no, opening day wise, it's
Oh,
that's still spring training.
I didn't.
So both teams go into the season with expectations a little bit. Obviously, the White Sox underachieved last year. The Cubs were not a good team. However, they did make strides in the offseason to better themselves and make themselves available for a playoff push this upcoming season. So I ask Factor Cap, this upcoming season will feature both Chicago baseball teams in the postseason.
Yeah, I don't think either. I don't think either of us are going to make it. Right now, as we sit, um, I don't know. I just have a bad feeling about. I feel like the Sox are one injury away from being what we were last year again. So I just feel like when I'm looking at the roster and the Cubs, just aren't that impressive at all to me either. Even though I like the couple of signings they had in the offseason, I don't think they have a playoff team either.
Um, yeah, I mean, the fan in me wants to say facts, but I'm going to say Cap. Healthy. I think the White Sox ceiling is 88 and 74, somewhere around there. They're not a 90-win ball club. The Cubs, maybe, I think their ceiling is 80, 82. I think they'll be a 500 team, but there's nothing wrong with that if you're a Chicago Cubs fan. I may be a little bit biased because I am a South Sider, I am a Sox fan, but there's nothing wrong with the Cubs being a 500 ball club right now because they're still in the rebuilding phase. And last year, you guys went into the season with no expectations. You finished off the season strong. You made some good acquisitions in the offseason, and now you're going to improve off of last year's record. You're not playoff ready yet, and that's okay. Give it another year or two, you'll probably be contenders again, and it'll be exciting. Now, for the
Yeah,
White Sox, I said their ceiling was 88 wins. I would place them anywhere from the 84 to 88 wins. If they stay healthy, that is a playoff team, but it's not a World Series contender. It's a low ends, middle of the pack. What's really going to happen for the White Sox, it really depends on how their bullpen is. Their starting pitching is very solid. They still got Liam Hendricks, who is one of the best closers in baseball. It's, innings 6 through 8, that middle relief that's really going to make or break the White Sox this year.
yeah,
They still needed a left-handed bat. They added a couple of pieces. They still got 500 first basemen on their fucking team. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I'm gonna say Cap. I don't think both teams are in the playoffs. I think the Sox right now are the only playoff team. Maybe we can have this conversation next year, and both Chicago teams
right.
will be playoff teams.
All right. Well, that was good. We got to talk little Sox and Bulls. We haven't done that in a while since we initially started because Bulls off season or Bears off season is more important than anything.
Absolutely.
But if you watch this whole thing, like, follow, subscribe, please comment, thoughts, if you agree, if you disagree, all that good stuff. I'm Tom, or I'm Sean. This is Tom. And we'll see you guys later.